Nigeria, the level of unemployment has increased to the point where 41% of Nigerians are now unemployed. According to a new 2023 report, that means that the ratio of people living here, almost half of them are unemployed, which is unimaginable. Now, it is in a bid to tackle this challenge that the new Tinubu-led administration has come up with a plan that has been in existence for a long time, if you permit me to say, the Student Loan Bill, and has now reintroduced it and signed it into law to allow those students who are, regardless of their backgrounds, who are willing to learn and make something meaningful out of their lives. Now, this bill, like many more before it, has been faced with certain criticisms and controversy, and I'll tell you why. There are a lot of clauses attached to this particular bill. Talk about the repayment method. Now, repayment for this bill starts 2 years after your National Youth Service Corps. That means after 2 years when you serve, either you're self-employed or you're employed by a company, you start repayment. And failure to do that, you will face 2 years in jail or a minimum of 500,000 naira bill. That's one. Two, for you to be eligible for this bill, your family income must not be more than 42,000 naira in a month or 500,000 naira in a year. And a lot of people are asking, what exactly is the poverty rate? That's another. Now, if you talk about applying for this loan, you have to have a lawyer who has worked for 10 years and above, which is quite ridiculous. And you also have to have 2 guarantors who are level 12 officers in the civil service. Now you know why this is first with controversy. Now, today we will be talking about the reasons why people are talking about this loan, either a backlash or talking about it for good, because a lot of people believe that this is the way forward. If all goes well for the Tinubu-led administration, this is aimed at increasing the workforce. But the question still remains, where exactly is the work? Now, all these questions and more are the things that we will be tackling here today. Permit me to welcome you to another episode of Fafanua Africa, where we'll be talking about youth issues. Of course, it's a youth-based program. And today we are doing the Streets edition, where we come to the University of Lagos to get the opinions of both the students and a lecturer, what they think about the student loan. Is it the way forward, or is it just outrageous and should be scrapped? My name is Blessings Mosugu, your delectable host on this show. Come with me as I take you through 1 hour of bliss. Now, like I said earlier, because of the rate of unemployment, this new student loan bill has been signed into law. It's the Student Loan Act of 2023. And of course, it's brought about a lot of controversy that we can even count. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is the way forward, and some are saying that it is really cumbersome, looking at all the clauses that we will be talking about. Well, we are in Unilag, and I have my guests here with me. I have Isaac Idaosa. Is a master's student, actually, sociology. Nice to meet you. And of course, from her outfit, you can tell she's a legal student. Ogene Maru, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, too.
So today we'll be talking about the student loan bill, right? I'm going to explain it, and then you're going to, of course, tell me what you think about it. Now, this bill, of course, you know that there's a new administration, the Tinubu administration. Now, this bill has been in existence. Let's just say it's been dormant, right, for a long time. In 1973, there was the Educational Trust Fund discussion, the TED Fund discussion, and then there was like a collective contribution where people came in and gave in suggestions on how they wanted it to be done. And we can see that even though there are some loopholes, the TED Fund is still functional, even though it's not exactly perfect. But now people are saying that this new bill has been signed and there are lots of clauses. Why are they saying so? Now, the bill was signed, and for you to be eligible for that bill, you have to, your family income should not be more than 500,000 naira in a year. Now, 500 naira per year, if you break it down into 12 months, that's barely 42,000 naira in a month. So they're just saying that your family must be earning the barest minimum, and we know the minimum wage is 30K. Now, looking at the fuel issue, right, and the entire hike in price and everything, how much is 42K these days? And that's why people are complaining that if you want to do something for people, do it for people. How many people, if you put that clause, that means that you're cutting out like 90% of the students, because there are some people who earn a little above 42K but cannot afford to see themselves through school for a long time. Now, that's one. No. Another one is that for you to be eligible for that, for the student loan, you must not have been caught, engaging in exam malpractice at all. And then your parents, of course, must never have defaulted in early loan. Now, for you to apply, you must have 2 guarantors who are level 12 officers in the civil service. And you must and you must have a lawyer who has practiced for at least 10 years to represent you. Now you would ask me, people who are living below the barest minimum, where do they have access to this kind of people?
Yeah.
That's not all. If you default in your loan repayment, now repayments is 2 years after your NYC, after you have completed your NYC. So you start paying 2 years after. So they expect that you would have had a job, which is fair, to be honest. But now they're saying that if you default in the loan, you face at least 2 years of prison sentence, or I think about 500K bail or something. So all of these things are now making people say that if this is not going to work, they should just stick to grants that they do. Just look for people to sponsor through school, because this is looking like it's not feasible. First of all, you're not considering all the masses, right? It's just like saying you are categorizing the poor people into those, so a lot of clauses, a lot of bottlenecks and all, and people are not comfortable with it. And so I want to know your opinion, starting with you, Isaac. If it was you with all these clauses, right? Let's say that you are even earning, let's say 43K. That's a little above what they are requiring.
Yeah.
Would you apply for this loan?
I will not apply.
Why?
I won't apply because I think the conditions are outrageous.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to me. The idea is good, but I don't think the bill was well thought out. And what guarantee do I have that I will get a job when I'm done?
There's that.
I start paying the loan.
Exactly.
And if I don't pay the loan, I either go to prison or I pay a particular fine.
And then, okay, I forgot to add that if you are self-employed, you have to remit 10% of everything you get.
Everything I get.
Yes.
So the package is not going well.
No, it's
It's
not
clear.
packaging.
It's not clear. Tinubu said let the poor breathe. But now he's choking the poor. An idea that chokes the poor is not an idea. So I like the idea, student loan, fine, but it should be thought out properly. Okay, it should be, I don't think an average Nigerian will take that kind of loan.
Right.
At all, because there's already loan apps choking some.
Maro, what's your
Well, personally, I feel like if my family earns 40-something thousand, and now with the introduction of the student bill, that means there's going to be hike in school fees, semester fees. I won't be able to pay. My family is earning 42K. They are telling me that I should come and pay after like 2 years of NYC. There's no guarantee because the rate of unemployment already is high, and and the way things are going doesn't seem like okay, it's going to come down anytime soon. So now I have just 42K. Every single person in my family, probably me, my siblings, my parents, just 42K. And there's school fees that's going to get hiked to probably 100K.
Yeah.
So if I take loans for like, okay, I'm in my third year now. If I take a loan for 3 more years, that's 300K. That's like practically a whole year feeding. So we'll probably starve and will not survive. So I don't think it's very feasible for the average, not even for the average, for the people living below the average, even the average Nigerian, even if they were to say, okay, for people earning up to 200K, a lot of families won't still be able to afford it because the country's economy is not favorable to a lot of people.
Exactly.
And personally, I would not take the bill. I'd rather just focus on my side hustle or not go to school at all than take a bill with the fear of, oh, okay, after NYC, I have to look for a job, I have to start a business, cakes by Maro, this one. And now, I still can't pay. Okay, from the little I'm earning from my self-employment, I'll still have to bring out from it to pay back a loan I took years ago for a degree I'm not even using at the moment. So except conditions get better, government creates jobs for people, and the minimum wage increases, I don't think it's fair.
That's it.
Let's even talk about the rate of unemployment, right? You talked about cakes by Maro, and that brought my mind to the fact that a lot of times government will come up with different initiatives, right? We're teaching people handwork here, we're doing this, and then they make a lot of promises. We're not saying the government is not doing well, they're doing their best, but then a lot of times you see the government promising that, okay, let's say people go and learn tailoring, when you're done, they give you like a certain amount of money to start your business, but some people never get that money, right? So first, it's not even guaranteed that you get a job, like he said, right? You finish school with the loan and then you start looking for a job. The rate of unemployment is now about 41%. That means about 41% of Nigerians are unemployed, which is a very ridiculous statistics if you ask me.
Yeah.
Now, the rate of unemployment is 41%, and still people don't have, hand laborers. And those who are willing to learn are not well equipped with it. So like you said, where is the money going to come from to repay? So
Exactly.
a lot of people are now scared that they cannot repay this loan. So do you think that this initiative is actually a good idea, but the execution is the problem?
I think that's it. I think that's the point. Great idea, fantastic idea, good idea, nice idea.
Just like the cash scarcity.
Just like, no, that one was a terrible idea. But this is a good idea.
Okay.
Because the thing is, you want to provide loans for indigent students, people who can't afford to go to school, but they are bright, they are talented, they have passion, they want to study, but they don't have the cash to prosecute education. So the idea is good. But at the same time, the methods of executing the idea doesn't make sense. If it's for the poor, then make it easy for the poor to access. Let me be able to go to a bank.
Breathe.
Should I just walk to a bank, for example, with my admission letter, my GPA score, and maybe 1 or 2 recommendation letters, and go to any bank like Zenith or GT and say, "Oh God, I need this loan," and they give me the loan? It should be as easy as that. And then maybe the government can partner with, private organizations so that those who go through loans can get jobs to pay back the loans. Not that you go through the loans, after you are done with school, you are not looking for jobs, you haven't fed yourself, you haven't gotten accommodation, you have family back home, and if God bless you, you are the breadwinner, for example, you have to take care of your family and you are taking off a loan. No, the average Lagosian is a calculating man.
Yeah.
He won't take it.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, we're still talking about the student bill, the student loan bill. We'll go on a break now where we check out, of course it's a youth show, so we have certain people who also have an input to this particular topic, youths of course. So we want to hear what they have to say about the student loan bill. We'll listen to them and we'll come back to continue our conversation.
I think the education subsidy, the students' loan is evoking the kind of reactions you would expect from Nigerians. And that's because it's still considered an opaque policy. People don't see it as transparent enough yet. And the details, the intricacies you'd expect the government to reveal about this policy is not out there yet. And a lot of people don't even know enough about it to accept it. And if you want good reaction from the people, you'd invest in orientating them and letting them know what it's all about. And the education sector has a lot of stakeholders. You have students, the bustling, bubbling Nigerian youths there. You have their parents, you have their family members, you have the academic institutions, you have the lecturers. A lot of stakeholders there, and all these people have to know what they'll be getting into. And the indigent students who are potentially beneficiaries of this policy have to know what's in store for them, what they will get if they subscribe to this policy and they are beneficiaries of it. So I think at the moment enough information is not out there about the policy, and that's the biggest problem, and that's why you can see Nigerians are not happy and they are not reacting the way you'd expect for a policy that is in quotes expected to help them.
Regarding the students' loan law bill that was passed, I really don't think there was a lot of thought put into the policy, because when you think about it and then the requirements, you start to see that there are a lot of loopholes in the policy itself. Because how do you expect someone that is less privileged to have a lawyer of 10 years, practicing for 10 years, or a level 12 civil servant as maybe as a guarantor? People that are poor usually don't have access to people like this. So when you ask them to do things that are next to impossible, you're kind of telling them that basically this policy is not for you. There's also the fact that you're saying that they have to earn less than 500,000 naira. The average artisan probably earns more than that in a year if he combines all the salary together.
Speaking about the new student loan bill that was just passed into law, right? I would say it's an amazing initiative, I won't lie. But then the only issue I'm having with it is the criteria you have to meet before you can access the loan. You know, it doesn't really describe the target audience that the bill is meant to, or the people that are meant to benefit from the bill. Because if you are saying for a poor person that needs to access, that need to have access to education and want to have access to the loan, and you're telling the person must have at least 500,000 in the account, you must know a level 12 worker. No, like I don't think it's really, you know, fits. But then it's a start. Like I said, it's an amazing initiative, and I know that as time goes on, modifications can be done, you know, to cater for this group of people and making sure that okay, everybody that needs it actually benefit from it.
Well, we're still talking about the student loan bill, and I still have my fantastic guests with me, Isaac and Ogedemaru. Now, Maru, if you were to choose between the grant and this loan with all these clauses, what would it be? Bearing in mind that the grant is barely enough to see you through school, but then looking at the clauses attached to the loan, which one would you prefer and why?
I'd rather go with the grant, but then I have a contrary opinion and input. I feel like if a country is functioning, these are federal schools, because someone that's going to a private school already knows that, okay, I have means of affording it. So this loan is clearly directed to mostly the federal students.
Yeah.
So in a functioning society or in a functioning country, you should be able to establish an educational system where the layman can afford it. So there will be no need for grants or loans. If you say the minimum wage is 30K, if this country functions properly, education should be below 30K,
right,
so that everybody will be able to afford it, because nobody has time. Everybody's busy with their life. Nobody really has time to start worrying about, oh, I have to pay this. There are other like things in life that you have to focus on. You can't put all your energy in like trying to pay grants or trying to pay back loans. So I think we need to come to a point where the government like focuses on, okay, I'm actually putting the layman in mind, and I know that I've set up 30K as the minimum wage. What are the things that this 30K can afford? Because even with the grants, that 30K, when you remove feeding, when you remove house rent, when you remove clothing, how much will you have left?
Exactly.
Then you see people begging and going on the street. It's not really fair on the layman. So that's my point of view. Government should really find a way to redevelop the country, if that's the word to use, and make the layman afford what the minimum wage is.
Yeah, I mean, spoken like a true lawyer, because I remember someone saying when this whole fuel, the increase in prices came in, someone was saying that imagine someone earning 30K. Maybe for some reason the person was lucky to get a car. Maybe his dad gifted him a car, and his salary is 30K. He can't even buy full tank for that 30K in a day. So it's looking like the economy, the standard of living is dropping, but every other thing, the prices are increasing, you know, school fees are increasing, and every other clause around it is just skyrocketing. So I really think that idea is what will sell. Aside the grant or the loan, I think that it will be. But another thing I would like to ask is, let's say that this loan was properly planned, right? And that's to you, Isaac. Let's say this loan was properly planned and everything is put in place. Do you think with this Nigeria system and looking at our track record, do you think that it would even last?
I don't even think it will work efficiently because we have the way that we gain the system. You know, if the system is properly designed, it's going to work well. Okay, so efficiency is key. And if assuming the loan is well thought out, it makes a lot of sense. People will still use the education loan as a way to settle political discourse, compensate political loyalists, put people who are unqualified to manage the boards of the funds. People will start getting the loans on basis of who know who don't know who. So somehow the Nigerianness will enter the entire package. You need to have long leg to get loan. You need to go and settle one civil servant. They say, how many years experience again? You have to go and settle a civil servant to collect loan. Okay, and God bless you if you don't have a lawyer. You have to go and pay a lawyer to get loan.
Exactly.
So, Mago will enter the package because of the Nigerian kind of system. True. You understand? So, at the end of the day, even if the loan stuff is well thought out, the poor might not get the loan. It might still be the rich man collecting loan. Because if the rich man collects loan, he's likely not going to pay because he knows somebody at the top. They can just waive it.
Right.
You know, so this Nigerian system has a way of frustrating every good thing that comes into it. But all the same, let it be well thought out. At least on the basis of merit, some persons can still access the loan when times come. We know Nigeria will always be Nigeria.
Okay, let's also talk about the repayment plan, right?
Okay.
That's 2 years after your NYSC, and if you cannot pay back, then you're looking at 2 years in prison. Is that not a bit extreme, Maru?
It is. And
You're a lawyer.
Yes.
well, I believe it is. And if we're realistically speaking, a lot of people will end up in jail because it's quite ridiculous demanding such when there is no proper security. Even the NYSC, why are you even doing the NYSC? How much is government paying you that you want to say, okay, let me save up my NYSC money and use to pay back? It's not still going to be enough. After school, if you are my own is, if you are taking the loan bill, just prepare your mind that you are spending 2 years in jail. Because there is no proper way. Government is not setting up any proper thing. There is high rate of unemployment, and with the way things are going up every day, even the lawyer that is going to serve as your guarantor, he's going to take money from you.
Exactly.
It's not free work. The civil servant, if he's not a family member, he will also take, because nobody is going to risk their life for you without you paying or without you like dropping something. So just prepare your mind.
So at the end of this, like the money you're even borrowing, the loan you're taking is like to settle all these things.
Settle all these things.
And then I think somewhere in the bill it says that the loan is only for tuition.
Only for
So we're not even talking about transportation to school. We're not even talking about feeding in school.
Accommodation.
And accommodation in school.
It's a lot. And every single thing, even the accommodation here in Unilag is outrageous. Not within Unilag, outside Unilag. You see a mini flat of 1.2. And I'm like,
As students,
as now government is releasing student loan bills, which means school fees will go high, hostel fees within school will go high. Outside people, they will also increase their rent because school cannot contain the entire student capacity, so people will obviously have to move outside. So imagine you balloting now, for example, you don't get a space within school, you seek for the student loan bill, and now you have to move outside school. It's just like you are, I don't know the word, but it's just like you are laboring every day, like you're in a permanent cage. You have like chains on you. And you can't just break free because it's just going to keep increasing.
okay, I mean, well, so I think at this point I'm going to ask you individually, if you were to prefer a different solution, let's say, fine, the loan is a good idea. If you were to prefer a different solution to the means of executing this bill, what would you say should be done differently?
I think that, first of all, like I said initially, the loan idea is good, okay? Because it's supposed to help the poor to access education. Education is human rights, okay? But tertiary education is expensive anywhere in the world. So if you want to access tertiary education, you should be able to get loan to do so when you can't afford it, right? So for me, I would say that, first of all, they should constitute more like a board. Let it look like a funding thing. It should be totally out of the government system. Unfortunately, our universities is politically inclined. Appointment, everything is around politics. Right in the department level, faculty level, it's all political. So if they involve this loan matter, it will still be political. If there's a way they can make it as independent as possible, let it be based on merits, to be a fantastic idea. Okay, and then they should scrap out all this jail sentence, 500,000 household income, they should just scrap all of those things and make it affordable. Let it be like I should be able to walk to GT Bank with my credentials and get a loan if I'm qualified based on merit. I should not see any professor. I shouldn't see any politician. I shouldn't see the vice chancellor. I should not even know him. Sure. Do you understand? I should just go to the bank with my stuff. And if the bankers look at my stuff and find that I meet all the criteria, I should be given the loan. If it's done that way, people will be bold enough to go and get those loans. But if it's done in the political way they do appointments, I have to go and see a civil servant, I have to go and meet a lawyer, and I have to go and know a politician. I should know somebody in Lagos State government or like, it's all messed up. It's going to frustrate the poor man. The poor man will not get the loan. At the end of the day, it is still the elites that will have access to loan to send their children to school.
Sure. How about you, Mara?
Well, firstly, I would say the government should eliminate that 2 years after NYSC, you go to jail. If I'm speaking on real terms, even somebody from a well-to-do family, if not for the connections you have, it's still difficult, like trying to rise up in the corporate ladder. So, for somebody to even like gather the money, they need time. 2 years is not enough because you have to set up a lot of things. 2 years is not enough. Also, I believe the government should increase the minimum wage. 40K is small, 30K is small, even 50K is small. If things are increasing, at least increase the salaries of people so that they will have like hope that, okay, things will not be worse than before. It can still be on the same scale. Yeah. Even if it's not better, it can still be on the same scale. That's what I feel. Okay,
finally, Maru, if you were to rate the new administration, I know it's still too soon to tell. I mean, we just started like, how many weeks ago? But if you were to rate the new administration, I mean, let's forget about all these clauses and all, looking at the steps taken, the action that President Tinubu has taken and all, how would you rate it?
Well, I feel like Tinubu, he's showing that he's a president because he has been taking actions. He has arrested somebody, signed several loan bills.
Suspended somebody.
Yes, he has done a lot. Although I'm not agreeing with certain things that he has done, but he's showing that, okay, he's taking steps as a president, that, okay, he's serious in this business. So I'll say, just because he started, maybe a 4. He's trying.
Out of what?
Out of a 10. He's trying.
Okay, 10, okay. I thought it was
but
100.
Then, if the way things are going now are still like that 3 years into his administration, then it's going to be very bad. Because I was discussing with my friend, then she was telling me about, I don't know if it's Zimbabwe, but a country where their currency value has dropped so much, and it's normal for people to walk on the road now and faint out of hunger. And if it's the way things are now at the beginning of the administration, if that's the way it still is 3 years from now, that will be the situation of Nigerians, not us. some Nigerians, and there'll be increase in crime rate because everybody will want to survive. Increase in crime rate, stealings, and all that. So let's just say that, okay, he's doing it because he wants to like change a lot of things that was wrong with the old administration. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt, and as time progresses, we'll see. But for now, it's a 4.
All right, thank you for that. How about you? How would you rate it, Isaac?
Well, I think our scorecard is really tight. If she were a lecturer, almost
nobody will pass.
Nobody will pass. But Baba has actually shocked me. Okay, and youths, we had a special candidate. I don't want to mention him, but Baba has actually shocked me, knowing that he inherited the poverty capital of the world. Nigeria was a terrible state when he came into the power, but he has hit the ground running. I love the reforms. I like the sackings. I like the promotions. I like the appointments. I like the CBN FX thing that is going on now, leaving it between markets and demand supply. It's helping a lot of guys, youths, a lot of young people who are dealing with, FX and trading and all of that. So Baba has hit the ground running. But I think this loan thing is a K leg for him. You should look at it very well because it has direct implications on we young people.
Right.
But when he looks at other stuff that he's done, I think he's done fantastic work for me personally. I will give him an 8/10. But it's too early to even grade him.
Okay.
Let's say after a year we can grade him.
All right. We're going on a short break now, and when we come back, we'll continue the show. All right, so Isaac, if I were also to ask you, right, we're saying that the punishments are strict, and then for defaulters, right, they shouldn't be arrested or jail term and all. But what do you think should be the punishment for defaulting?
I think the punishment for defaulting should be that such a person should not have the allowance to secure credit in the future.
What if the person will not want credit in the future?
They definitely want credit. Something somehow will make you want to go to the bank to get credit.
But a lot of people
to start
are,
a business,
okay.
you will need credit. In fact, government will need to supply credit to small-scale businesses to survive. So you will need credit. If government are carrying out social intervention schemes, for example, such people should be disqualified. These are, and then we can use moral judgments now. There can be public shaming, you know, just put them on TV. Or that your own social amount. That can, Nigeria will like to, we fear shame. That can go a long way. So it makes sense. In the United States, for example, people pay loans 20 plus years, are still paying loans,
yes.
and they're living their lives. So you can't jail me after 2 years because I'm owing barely 300, 400, 500K. When, as a government, you have not kept the part of your contract by providing jobs, right? No accommodation, unlike what you find in developed societies. I think they should do a proper comparison with what we have and other developed societies where they have education loan bill, and compare both, and then don't come and choke us, allow us breathe. As we said, let's breathe. Baba, want to breathe.
Okay. All right, Mario, how about you?
Okay, so before I go into the solution, I think would be good. It's notable that everyone in a society is the product of what the society has given to them. So regardless of how good a country is, there will still be defaulters in certain areas. So no matter how Nigeria improves, some Nigerians will still be Nigerians. They will still like try to default. So if Nigeria was to have a credible data system, not the one that, a credible data system in the sense that everything is kept like with artificial intelligence, we know what you are doing now, what you are doing next, and all that. Ideally, 2 years is a little amount of time to give anybody. Let's give it the space of 10 years. You would have been able to establish yourself to a certain extent.
Well, but playing the devil's advocate here, the exact date of completing the payment was not mentioned, right? So they're just saying that you start repaying from 2 years after.
Okay, from 2 years,
Yes.
not the imprisonment.
You don't have to
doesn't
finish,
happen.
yes.
Okay.
So that hasn't been clearly stated, but they're just saying that if you default, we don't know, maybe after that 2 years, they give you 1 extra year, or they give you 2 extra years, but they're saying if you default, you'll be imprisoned.
Imprisonment is quite brash because even with the imprisonment, I'm already poor, you are still imprisoning me. What more do you want me? There's nobody that can rescue me. If I had the money, I would have paid. So you imprisoning me, I still can't pay. Everybody around me is poor. So I feel like as you scale up your business, you should be able to pay taxes. And from your taxes, they should probably add your loan to your taxes. Then if you still default,
Yes, speechless.
then they should imprison you because
Okay.
you are the one.
At that point, you deserve it. Yeah,
Yes.
coconut head.
Yes, exactly.
All right, thank you for that. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, according to this bill, you're only eligible if your family earns over 500,000 Nigerian naira per annum. You do the math. 500,000 naira, that is barely 42,000 naira in a month. That cuts off over 90% of a student. Where does that leave them? And this is making students and parents alike complain that this bill has extreme consequences and clauses attached to it, both before and after you get the loan. For example, for you to get this loan, you have to have 2 guarantors who must be level 12 officers of the civil service. And also, you must have a lawyer who has over 10 years experience. Now, this idea came in 1972, which is a good initiative. But according to some student bodies and the ASU, for example, they're saying that this time around, there is no room for collective bargaining, as was done in 1993, which of course birthed the TED Fund and the Educational Trust Fund. So this is the problem. Now, today we're going to be talking to the head of Department Mass Communication, University of Lagos, Professor Adepoju Tejumaye. Come with me. Hello, sir.
How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you for your time. Fine,
Please,
thank you.
have a seat.
Thank you.
Why? How are you?
Professor Tejumaye Adepoju, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. How are you?
Fine, thank you. So the student bill or the student loan bill has just been signed, and of course it's brought out a lot of controversial discussions and all. So I just want to know what your opinion is about it. What do you think about the new administration and this new bill?
You see, concerning the new administration, of course, whoever says that he or she is not expecting new things is not being sincere, considering what we passed through in the last administration. So, going straight to the student loan bill, I strongly believe that that is what we need in this present time. You see, the old model of funding education, you know, is no longer realistic. Yeah, I target the old model, but then whatever I'm going to say right now, these are my views. You understand? I in whatever way I go with what ASU, you know, says, but that shouldn't mean that one should not express one's view. For me, I think is the way to go. It's not perfect. Really, perfection belongs to God. Anything that is done by human being can never be perfect. There will always be things to tinker with, to adjust one way or the other. You know, that's the way growth comes into being. There's no law that is perfect. There are ways to adjust it in line with realities. I'll give you an example. You see, one of the things there said that if your salary, if your income is 500,000 naira per annum, annually, that you are not qualified. That's wrong. That's wrong. I am interested in it. I have children in higher institutions. I'm interested in it. I want my children to subscribe. You understand? I want my children to obtain the loan. You know, what this government, the government should understand is the fact that that 500,000 naira ceiling is not logical. My income is more than that, you understand? But I'm interested in it. Just like I said, is the way to go. The old model of running to Abuja, running to federal government, running to federal Ministry of Education for funding is no longer realistic. Let's be serious with one another. There is a call for a new way to fund the educational system, especially the tertiary institutions. And one of the ways, which is why I subscribe to it, is this student loan. It is something that is done globally. What we need to do is just to adjust it with realities in Nigeria and make sure that it works the way we want to work. We want to ensure that it is working. This, I've also watched TV where Nance appeared before the president and said ASU should be removed. ASU should. No, that's not the way to go. That's still the old order of scattering things. That's still the old order of putting bottlenecks in the ways good purposes are meant to be achieved. It should be all for one. There should be everybody involved. When everyone is involved, that is when it will be fine-tuned, and it will be fine-tuned for the benefit of all.
You know, you mentioned that even though you support this, there are still certain clauses. And I think it's those clauses that are making people, talk about it and raising up the controversy. For example, you talked about the 500 naira per annum, which is barely 42,000 naira in a month. Now, another thing is, anybody applying for that must have guarantors, 2 guarantors, who must be level 2 officers as civil servants. Level 12, as civil servants. And also you must have a lawyer who has done the work for 10 years. How feasible it is that these people who you say can't afford up to more than 42,000 in a month will have access to those kind of people?
Honestly, you have just said it all. The 500,000 naira ceiling is not realistic. But the requirement that a lawyer must be a signatory or whatever, it's normal.
It's normal, but 10 years experience?
I think the reason for that is to ensure that there is sanity. But if you ask me really, which you are asking me, the years should be reduced to 5 years experience.
And then how about the jail term?
Jail term for what?
For those who default in payment.
Okay, you know, there is jail term and there is also option of fine. And there is also another option of jail term and option and fine for, you know, as it applies. Yes, we need all that. In laws, there should be, you know, steps to punish, you know, defaulters. You understand? Why should anyone want to obtain the loan and default? That's the way laws are made. You don't make law in such a way as to be laissez-faire, kind of, so that there won't be punishment. There should be punishment, right? But have we, of course, it's a new law, it has not been tested in a law court. I know that when, you know, cases around it are instituted in a law court, judges will have to interpret it in the best way they think is, in the way they think is the best. You understand? But that's the way laws are made. You know, no law is made in such a way as to be so free that you can violate it, and go scot-free. You understand? Just like I said earlier, there is need for all of us to come together and talk about it and ensure that we have it for the best of our children. I am interested in it. I want, as soon as it begins, I want to obtain the loan. But this 500,000 thing has, you know, disqualified me, and I'm not happy about that. Not that I don't have money to send my children to school, but at the same time, it makes the work easier. It frees my finances so that I'll be able to use those money for something else productive for myself, for my wife, and my children. And don't forget that it's not a free gift. As soon as whoever takes the loan start working, the person starts paying back. Some years ago, if you could remember, Obama said he just concluded the payment of the loans he obtained when he was in school. You understand? So that's the way, that is what is obtainable in the developed world. Go to UK, it's there. Go to Canada, in the US, it is there. In the developed world, that's the way it is done. What we need to do in our client is to modify it to suit our purposes. That's all. You know, it has several advantages. It will free resources that are supposed to be used, you know, for funding education, right? And one of the advantages is that when we are all involved, you know, when a phenomenon or an event or an issue in which everyone is involved, right? Everyone will ensure that it is successful. We should all wake up and get involved in it and ensure its success. The also, old model of funding education, it's no longer realistic.
Yeah, okay, but let's talk about the issue of coming together. Do you think that for this bill, enough educational bodies, talk about ASU, talk about the student body and all, do you think they were consulted? I'm saying that because if you look at the facts, ASU in 1993 was instrumental to starting, you know, the ETF, the trust fund that we see now. Yeah. And even though those ones too have their own lapses, it's still very functional.
Wait, I know where you're going.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, the way laws are made in a democracy, it has processes. There is open first reading, there is second reading, there is a session whereby they invite public, you know, for open discourse. Yeah. Before that bill, right, reached that level in which it is, before the present president signed it, it must have undergone those processes. But the issue should be that, was it made so public as to get everyone involved? I don't think so. So I don't think so. But still, that does not mean that we should start all over again. You understand? So that is what I meant when I said, let us all get involved now. And don't forget again, right, it's not a new bill. It has been there. It's just that the former president didn't sign it. And this present president, as soon as he got there, he realizes that, oh, these are things that needs to be done, and done quickly. And he decided to sign it. So the issue now is that let us all get involved. It has been signed. It has become a law. But it is yet to be implemented. So the implementation is the issues now. I mean, it's the issue that we should all get involved in now. And who says it can still not be amended? Let's all get involved in talking about it, in ensuring that the right things are done. The conditions, let's all get involved in talking about it so that government will realize that there is need to make amendments to it. In terms of the 500,000 requirement, that's to me silly. Let's all talk about it so that the right thing and proper things are done. I want to say this again. The old order of funding education is obsolete. It's no longer realizable. That's the truth. There is need for a new way of funding institutions.
Okay, finally, Professor Tejumai, would we say that we are well equipped and ready for student loans, or should we just stick to grants? I know that you're saying that this is a welcome development.
You see, grants will not fulfill that purpose. It will be mishandled. It will be misappropriated. If what I know about this student loan is anything to go by, it's not going to be the old order of chop, chop, chop. You understand? It's something that is streamlined. It's something that is, done in such a way that plus and minuses are known. You understand? And the people that are going to be in charge will be modern people, will be contemporary people. I also want to suggest to government that it should not be the old order of civil servants handling it. You understand? Let's give it to private sector so that it will be private sector manned, and at the end of the day, it will be sustainable. That's what we need. Those are some of the things, those are some of the challenges, the newer things that we need to understand needs to take place in this our present world. This present world, we need to get to know how to do new things in line with realities. One of such new things is this loan thing. You understand? It's the way to go. Really.
Thank you so much, Professor Tejumai, for your time.
Thank you as well.
All right.
Welcome.
Well, you heard it. Let's take a look at some tweets, and we'll be right back to continue the conversation. Unyime says, aside the civil servant guarantor needed, many of the said students will not be eligible because they've defaulted on credit or have parents that have defaulted. Repayment starts 2 years post-NYC. With the scary unemployment statistics, this is just wishful thinking. Akpam Ibom says, them they like follow the back door. Why wouldn't they establish the education bank first before signing the bill into law? Olua Rotimi says, scam alert. Student loan bill with high rate of unemployment among the graduates. Make he continue to sign propaganda bills with no realistic target. Now, Alex Nifemi says, but how do they want to repay? Our education system doesn't permit work and school. Students will attend class from Monday to Friday and still attend class from morning till evening. That's if there is availability of jobs in the country. But this can't work, truth be told. Well, playing the devil's advocate, the repayment starts after 2 years of NYSC, so there's that. Abdurrashid Ibrahim says, signing bill isn't the problem, but implementation and transparency matters. TYB says, a good policy with no strategy as to how it would work would only be cool on paper. Education bank yet to be established, the elites and politicians alike would overshadow it. Last, they would not allow the poor to breathe. Aji Busu says, student loan in a country where there are no jobs. Are you people aware that student loans are tied to a student's post-graduation income? Where are they going to get the jobs to repay? Anyways, this is another let me show Nigerians working before judiciary sends my ass out. Okay. Well, you've heard it all from both the lecturer and the students of University of Lagos. Some people are in support of the student loan bill and others are against. But all in all, before we go forward, let's take a look at some profound words from people who have gone before us regarding education. And we'll be right back. There's so much to be said about the new bill signed by the new president's administration, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But one thing is for sure, we'll have to all sit back and see how things pan out, hopefully in the favor of Nigerians. It's been an amazing 1 hour packed program, and thanks to all my guests and the lecturer for making that possible. Now, for more of this, do well to follow us on our social media handle and stay tuned for another episode, same time next week. My name is Blessings Mosugu. I remain your delectable host on this show.